Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Time for what could be a very short live stream. We're just going to do some priming and a little bit of painting here, and we'll just see what we can get. I mean, I was going to shoot a short video on the July Painting Challenge week 3 question, but I figured I got to prime minis, and it's late at night, so we might as well do this thing, right? So anyways, welcome to the stream. Let me show you guys what we're going to be priming while I'm getting the airbrush cleaned up. Okay, so I've got about 9 Batman minis here, and this is kind of a long weekend project for me before I pick up another commission next week. So this is fun stuff. This is all my stuff. I restocked on Batman stuff. You know, as you do. So anyway, let me briefly answer the July Painting Challenge secondary objective question for week 3. That way, if you just tuned in just to hear the answer, I'll give you the short answer, and then if you want to continue watching me prime and paint, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay. So the question of this week is, and let me pull it up real fast here. Ooh, man, this is interesting. Okay, week 3. You've been invited to be the guest of honor and key speaker at a gaming convention. What is your presentation going to be about? What do you want to be known for in the hobby community? Okay, so I guess I'll answer that by briefly answering what I want to be known for in the hobby community. And for me, I want to be known as the guy who just played so many different games and painted every single one of them, and just took gaming wherever he went. You know, I do kind of see myself as a little bit of a volunteer evangelist for gaming, and more recently for painting, specifically the painting side of the hobby. So if you ask me what I want to be known for, that's what I'm going to say. I want to be known for being the guy that does all the different activities within gaming and then loves spreading it around. You know, I like the fact that I guess locally I have a little bit of notoriety regarding you know, gaming. All the gaming shop owners know me. They know that that I like to push different types of systems, and I like to push painting as well. And that's a little bit of a mixed bag too, because it's cool to get recognized for stuff like that, but then, you know, sometimes you're kind of seen as a commodity for these gaming shops. And you know, I went through a period where, well, I'll get into that later. But I guess suffice it to say, yeah, it's a mixed bag. Like, it's cool to get to be known for that locally, but there's some minor downsides to it. Nothing too big. They don't drain my blood or anything while I'm sleeping. So, and then the first part of the question is really interesting. So I guess, you know, you imagine you were invited to be the guest of honor at a gaming community, right? What's someone like me going to talk about? Well, if it's me and I can pick any topic I want regarding tabletop gaming, I guess my topic would be what makes a good skirmish miniature game, and trends within trends or things to watch, to look for in the miniature gaming scene. Okay, so I'll get into that in a bit here. First, though, that's pretty good. Thinking maybe I can move one of these. It's okay. I'm okay. We'll just use that. All right, so that's the short answer. We're going to do some airbrushing, then the rambling shall begin, okay? Looks like I'm in kind of tight, and my autofocus is on. So let's change that. Let's change both of those things. So I'm going to take the autofocus off. And we're going to back out a little bit. That's good. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we're going to be out a little bit, and then we'll get into it. Okay. So next up, some primer on all this stuff. I've got a Wonderland crew here. I've got a bunch of like Batman and Law Force stuff as well. Okay, 9 miniatures in total. And because it's my project, I want to finish reasonably quick so I can get on with commission stuff. But if I don't finish, I mean, there's only specific models that I consider must be done by next Thursday, or by the next time we game again. I want to have the Mad Hatter done because that would complete my Secret Six. I would now own every possible option for team member of the Secret Six, and then I would want to. Then the next thing up for me would be Batman and the Law Forces. So the actual Wonderland crew is actually pretty low on the list. All right. Okay. So let's get on with the priming. If you're just joining us, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting tonight. Tonight we're painting Wonderland crew and Batman crew. This White Rabbit is a low priority paint for me, but I love that skull. So I'm gonna have fun painting that. Okay. Paint the Hatter. So classic Hatter is green, but I would be open to looking at other configurations for him. I don't know. I probably still end up doing green just because they're really cool look. And I believe Secret Six Mad Hatter was classic green Hatter. So Tweedledee, Tweedledum. A fun starter box. Unfortunately, to actually run Wonderland Crew, you still have to go kind of over to the fringes of the battle range. It's still quite cool. So here's the cop, Agent O'Connell with the taser gun. I have a lot of street cops. My Batman law crew run a lot of street cops. Cops paint up quick. So let's paint. So this is modern age Batman. It's really cool. Ooh, a lot of repelling. So yeah, to answer the question, I'd love to talk about miniature gaming, both in terms of it being what I see to be really the final frontier of nerddom. You know, the last, really one of the last strongholds that we have that hasn't been, you know, kind of co-opted by pop culture. And then just kind of how the hobby is advancing as I see it. And then also what goes into a good miniatures game. Along with where I would like to see the industry going. That's what I would talk about. I'd talk about the miniature gaming hobby and why it's different than the tabletop hobby, and why, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to gain wider acceptance of the hobby because it's such a deep hobby, you know. That's the truth of it. I mean, it's a way more complex endeavor than what most people are used to. You know, if you're talking about a miniature muggle, somebody that's on the outside of the miniature gaming realm, they look at miniature games as this incredibly daunting thing to get into. It just, you know, it just turns a lot of people off at first glance, because especially if they see a really, really nice set of miniatures and nice terrain and all this stuff. I can't say especially, but sometimes it works out that way where people lose interest because they see just how intricate the whole thing is. And it's like, I don't have the patience to do that. I can't be that precise. I'm not very artistic, therefore I don't paint. So this game, you know, the miniature gaming hobby is so far out there compared to what everybody else does for a quote-unquote geek hobby that, you know, to me it makes sense that it never really gained mainstream acceptance. So you got that side of it. Then you have this side from the inside, that the miniature gaming hobby, even people that are into or follow the miniature game hobby, that they're starting to that the inside crowd has kind of changed. And what is super popular for miniature games are things that, honestly, for me personally, I'm not a fan of. You know, large collections of miniatures, pre-painted miniatures, larger scale games. These are some of the things that are popular in miniature gaming, but they're not things that personally, I don't think they're good things. But what can I really do about that if that's where the market is, and that's where, as consumers, those are really the games that we like. Whether or not we would verbally admit to it or not. One of the things I was thinking about today, this idea that miniature game manufacturers need to employ tactics to do things like keep the customers just vaguely dissatisfied with their products. You know what I mean? Or maybe to rephrase that, maybe I phrased that incorrectly. Maybe it's more about being vaguely dissatisfied with their own collection. Perfect example of that. Like, let's say somebody's getting into Batman, right? And when you're getting into Batman, you might be looking at these 9 miniatures and going, okay, this Hatter here, this guy he's gonna satisfy my need for Secret Six. And once he's done, I will never need to buy another model for the reason of fulfilling my Secret Six. My Secret Six miniature criteria, right? We say that to ourselves, but the very next week, typically, we're out there buying more miniatures. We've justified either wanting another crew or wanting more variety within our faction of choice. So maintaining that level of dissatisfaction, maintaining that level of desire, addiction, completion, however you want to call it, that's something that manufacturers work on. That's why games like collectible games like Magic the Gathering and that kind of stuff, why they do well. Philosophically, I can be against those things, right? As a miniature gamer that at least wants to say he is looking for value in his games. Wow, that's repelling pretty hard. I can say I'm against it, but my actions might prove otherwise, right? I might still end up going out and buying the big scale game, spending tons and tons of money on it, and then buying another army. Hexus Pano, hello, happy Friday. Well, it's Friday here. Hey, welcome to the feed, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just sort of rambling about the week 3 secondary objective question, which was, you can talk about any topic regarding gaming at a convention, and what would you do? I would give like a discourse on, strengths and weaknesses of the miniature gaming hobby. Oh gosh, look at that. It just never. I'm gonna have to put some putty in there. Wow, it looks like it shifted actually. Let me I am painting Batman again. I'm always painting Batman. I don't know. It's going to be a while, I guess. I'm going to be in this miniature range for a while until either one of my Kickstarters delivers or our group starts to migrate towards another game. So yeah, be prepared to see a lot of this miniature range. This is the Wonderland crew. So this is Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And as you can see, I'm having to do some plastic putty to fill this gap here. Okay. So there's that. Is it? They look. Yeah, I have cops in here too. I have a mix of stuff. So I got Wonderland Crew. I've got some cops in here. I have a modern age Batman or dynamic duo. So you'll see all that stuff as it's going by. All right. So back to gray. So yeah, there's a number of forces within the miniature gaming community too, that kind of works against itself, and that ultimately, you know, in miniature gaming, there's some of us that are really pushing for a wider variety of games. You know, we prefer playing all these different genres. We prefer knowing all these different rule sets, painting all these different miniature ranges, and playing a wide variety of experiences for our money, right? So there's a group of veteran miniature gamers like myself that see that as a potential goal for miniature gaming. Conversely, there are people that are, you know, deeply entrenched in larger single game focused communities that are more single-minded in purpose, right? I'm in a, you know, let's say I was in a 40K community, and it was a fairly big community. You know, we play Broadside Bash or whatever once per year. Well, my goal might be around continuing to grow that community around a single game, and I may see a proliferation of smaller independent games as a threat to my own playing livelihood, right? It would be a threat to my own prospects of finding new partners and attending more events around a single game. So these are conflicting forces within the miniature gaming community itself, within the veteran community. And, you know, I've experienced this myself, that like, okay, so if I'm into this Batman game and there aren't a lot of players in my area, I may be inclined to try to promote the game locally, try to get people to play, setting up game demos, going into stores, going to local conventions, you know, doing all that stuff that I used to do for Malifaux, Eldorado, Anima Tactics, Guild Ball, XYZ game. I mean, I've done so many. That might be my focus. But I could be regarded as a threat to the guys that, you know, maybe the guys that have been running 40K for the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They're still, you know, their primary focus is that game and getting as many people to play it as possible. Now, from a time resource standpoint, I would say their strategy is better than mine for the purpose of getting more players, because, you know, with miniature gaming or tabletop gaming, there seems to be a threshold at which, you know, the number of players you attract to a game can enter a free fall, right? So in other words, it's super, super hard to get one lone person into a miniature game. That's super hard. Like you got to work with that one person, and you got to, you really got to spend the time convincing them that not only is the game system you're interested in worth playing, but you and your ideas about expanding the community are worth investing in. Okay, so it's not just I want to play this game. When you're the first player that's evangelized to, there's a certain amount of burden being placed on you too, because it's like, okay, we want you to get into this game, but we also ultimately want you to be able to help grow the community as well, right? So that's a lot of burden on a single player, especially when you consider that it's just it probably not a volunteer, probably not not a paid employee or anything like that. So like if I were in a brand new town and I didn't know anybody and nobody in that town played Batman, if you're the first person I approach about Batman, you have to get really, really, really interested in the game and or really, really interested in playing games with me in order to commit to that game. The first person that you turn on to the game is the most difficult conversion. As a consequence, they tend to be the most fanatical, among the most fanatical of your game as you introduce it. And as you, so when you have one person that you game with, that's difficult. That one person could turn around and get, we'll say, two of his or her friends into the miniature gaming system. So now, with each additional person added, the success rate of the particular game effort in your area is going to grow exponentially, right? So one player, what I'm getting at is one player is harder to convert than three. Three players are harder to convert than the six that they'll convert. And and 10 players are harder to convert than the 6 players. But once you'll get to a certain point, if you really just focused in on a single game system and pushed it that hard, and you retained more people than the ones that you lose to attrition. Because there's another big factor in a gaming community, is you can lose gamers to attrition very, very easily. I mean, it can be as simple as the next school year starting or stopping. It could be the loss of a player with a specific skill set that the group benefited from. For example, let's say in our group, you're the only painter in the group, but everybody loves how you paint, and you get to work on everybody's miniatures, and then and then they get used to your standard of painting, right? And then all of a sudden, you have to move. Something happened. You have to sell stuff. You might have lost your job. You might have to move. You might be having a kid. This happened to me. And so that could very, very easily throw your entire gaming group into jeopardy, right? Let's say, if I was the guy that was really, really pushing Batman, and I knew how to paint the miniatures, and I painted everyone's miniatures, and I carried the terrain around, and I made sure that the stores ran events for us and that kind of stuff. And then suddenly I have to leave, and I was a linchpin for that gaming community. That can just happen, and that does happen. So that's another thing to watch out for. So you have all these risks associated with starting a miniatures game that you just don't have with LCGs. You just don't have that with even tabletop board games, or miniature board games require the same amount of commitment. So So anyways, that's kind of the stuff I would be talking about. Would be, helping people understand, at least through my own experiences, what works and what doesn't work in promoting tabletop miniature gaming, and teaching people how to paint and enjoy the hobby. That's a hard conversion. It's a hard conversion, but to get more people to paint, you could sort of build it into your local community, your local scene. That is what's actually required, to actually get people amped about painting, is trying to get attention on the local scene and then growing it outwards, right? So let's say, we put together players for Batman and we run a campaign and it's widely successful, and we have 10 unique players in that campaign. Well, the next time we play that campaign, we're gonna add even more players to it. So it's good, but then it also starts getting challenging as you start adding people, and trying to survive waves of attrition, because gaming is considered a fairly low priority hobby. Even the most diehard guys don't really see gaming as like an end-all be-all. Even if they're super fanatical about it, you can still get them to look at other systems and other games and that kind of stuff. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to color block. It's getting kind of late. I can show you what we're working on right now. Well, let's color block a little bit. Let's do just a little bit of stuff, because I want to get the green down on my dude right there. Right, so I'm gonna go with a deep green. So we're working on Hatter, because Hatter is the whole reason why I got into this mess, really, was I wanted him for Secret Six. There's so many characters in Secret Six that in order to get them, you have to buy their starter, like Mad Hatter, like Bane, like Strix. The only way to get Strix is to get a Court of Owls starter. Who else is in there? There are 2 iterations of Harley Quinn that require you to get a starter. There is 1 iteration of Deadshot that requires you to get a starter. So Secret Six can get expensive quickly, so be forewarned. All right, so I'm going to try this deep green, and I'm going to shoot this from somewhat far away. Really not much to that model, is there? Okay. I guess I can be working on the cops too, because they're all one color. Okay. So Dynamic Duo is awesome. It's I don't know, that he might be my favorite Batman sculpt. So let's get some gray down for Batman. So modern age Batman is pretty gray. I'm going to use this cold gray for it on the inside. Actually, I should probably use something darker. And then the highlight up to that. So I'm going to use, let's use something darker. I can use basalt gray. It's fairly dark. So Robin and White Rabbit, if I'm going to color block, I'm just going to do the base coat of their skin. All right, so I'm going to spray this all inside there. Right? Anybody else that needs this gray? Red Hood does. First pants right there. Anybody else? I think that's it from this crew. Okay. Let's get some color blocking down on the cops. And it is getting late, folks, so probably am going to call it here in a second. I might just be uploading too much. You think? All right. This is a pretty good blue. Kind of darker blue. It's a good blue. So we're going to go intermediate blue for the cops. So O'Connell here. Okay, now it's paint. They call her a stripper cop or a sexy cop. Okay. And Tweedledee and Tweedledum kind of have their own things going on. Skin on Robin and White Rabbit. Not that that's not terribly productive, because I'm probably going to go through and base coat that anyway, but might as well. We're here. Let's do it. Okay. And just to give you guys something fun to look at, I'll do a color block on that modern age Batman, just because you can see where the blue and the gray go. Okay. Okay. Let's do White Rabbit. I don't know why I'm doing this, but shoot a little skin on the Tweedledee and Tweedledum's face. So I don't have to worry about it later, I guess. You could even do this if you were so inclined. Actually, O'Connell, I believe, is colored skin. So this may not be the best look for him. Okay. Yeah, let's get that blue down and then we'll call it. So the studio art for Modern Age Batman actually uses and I really like the blue, so I think we're just going to copy it. To me, that looks kind of like a shade below azure. Let's see what we got here. So we have a heavy blue or an electric blue. I think the heavy blue is going to work best. All right. So we'll do this, and then again, I'm really tired, you guys. I'm sorry for cutting it a little bit short, but yeah, I'll be working on these this weekend. All right. Okay. Now we're going to block in this blue. And if this blue looks good, I'll actually use it on the cops too. As kind of the highlight layer. Right, so here we go. Right. So putting in some more care on Modern Age Batman. Why does he have a hole? Is that just mine? Is mine just miscast? Yeah, he's not supposed to have a hole there. But he most definitely has a hole. That sucks. Just a miscast. Okay. So there's a repair. And I can't really do the color. I can't really color block now because of that. Putty's got to dry. It's in there. So you can see their major color blocking went in there, right? Pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and let's just do a little highlight on the tops. See, the cops don't have, there's just not much to paint. They look good though. Didn't one of the Tweedledee or Tweedledum have a blue jacket? I don't know. Let's look. It's like you got that guy there. He's got a blue jacket. So let's spray him. He would be, whoa, this guy right here. So he's got a blue. Okay. All right. So let's empty out the airbrush, and we'll get back to painting these guys over the course of this weekend. And we're just going to see how many we get done. All right, here we go. Okay. Just rinsing it out with a little water. All right, kiddos. Okie doke. So anyways, I think that that's going to do it for this video, because it's getting really, really late at night, and I got to get up and have some fun with the family tomorrow. Okay, so anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will catch you on the next one.